Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Kim with the Craft Space. Happy Boxing Day everyone. It is December 26th and I hope you all had a great holiday and are looking forward to all of those things that the new year is going to bring. I had a wonderful holiday. Looking forward to so many things, and am working on a little project this morning on Boxing Day with a nice hot cup of leftover holiday coffee. And I thought I would share with you a couple of things that I'm going to add to my dangle today, because I've just got a few days left to finish this December daily, and I know that these little mini books that I'm going to do are something that I'm going to start adding to my charms that I'll include with journals and upcoming mystery boxes and things like that on my channel or on my my Etsy store. So anyway, let's get started on a quick little tutorial. Nothing big and fancy until the beginning of the new year. Just some little things I'm trying to catch up on. And I have two different ways that I'm going to do these little mini books. Right now, what I've got here left over that I made a few weeks ago, I have just some little mini golden books that I think a lot of people are making. Their vintage covers of books. This one's got a little extra glue on it. And I've got some of the bigger size as well as the smaller size. And you can really make these any size that you want to make them. They have the little golden book backs on them. I just think they're just precious. And so we're going to make one of those today. And we're going to make one. This little satin book was actually, I'm not sure if I showed it, but it was actually attached to this Santa Claus, which you all know is the front runner of the cover for my December daily. But this little book was on there, and it just looked awkward. It was behind him. You couldn't really see it. And I thought, you know, I'm going to try something. That's kind of what junk journaling is all about, is I'm going to try something to see if it'll work in order to make one of these little tiny books. So what I'll do is I'm going to first start with showing you guys how to make just the simple little book. I had one cover left. I did not realize I had this cover left. I was thinking of maybe just gluing this in on my Christmas Eve and, you know, writing a little something in there. But then my page filled up very quickly, and so now I have this one left over. So I thought I would show you how I make these little books. And then I'm going to just let's try a little experiment with the book I really want to add to my dangle. We'll try it right here. So let's get started. Super simple. What you need is a little bit of this craft foam. I have this, I don't know, it's weird glittery craft. I don't know if you can see it's glittery. I would never use this for anything else. It's already sticky on one side. But I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to cover it up, put it in here, and we'll see how it works. And you can use any kind of craft foam inside. You can, heck, even fold up a bunch of little pages and put it in there. But I don't know how well the little ring will work. And then you're just going to need some of these little, I think they're called eye bolts, but eye hooks, eye bolts. I guess it depends on the size, whether it's a bolt or a hook. I'll need two of them. You can get them pretty much at any craft store, hardware store, anything like that. This is a very, very simple process. We'll start with this little piece. Oh, I guess I don't need this big piece because we're going to glue this little one on there. Okay, so very simply, you can use hot glue. I am going to actually use my Fabri-Tac just because it's my favorite, especially for doing videos. What you're going to do is, I always like to start with the front And this is, I made this in a Word document I took just in Microsoft Word. I think you can do it in pretty much anything easy. I went online and I found a free printable copy of a vintage golden book background. And then I found this, which is a vintage, and again, I did free clip art, free printables, so that I wasn't infringing on anything. Seeing how this is going to be for my personal book, it doesn't really matter because you can, you know, pretty much use anything you want in your own. I just don't know. I know you're not supposed to copy anything and use it due to copyright laws, but I don't know the how old it has to be or how much you have to alter it or anything like that. I don't do printables. I don't do digitals. That's not something I do yet, so I don't really know the rules. But using it in your own journal, if you're not going to sell it, it's completely okay. So I just put them together, lined them up, left this little, there's going to be a little white edge, but that's okay because I'm going to take the brown inking and we'll ink that up. I'm trying to figure out a way to recreate this little golden book tape that is allowed to be used, but that's another whole story. Okay, so I like to start with the front. So I'm going to liberally apply my glue. And I'm sure my comments are going to have, going to have a lot of people always saying that I use too much glue, but I figure I would rather over glue it than have it come apart later on me. So it is a little more expensive to use this kind of glue and use a lot of it, but it helps keep things together for long periods, especially since this is going to dangle along the outside and hang down, and it's going to get a little bit more wear and tear. And I always give my Fabri-Tac or my my acetone glues about 10 seconds before I stick something on them, just because then they don't tend to run out the sides very much. Okay, now when you're putting this on, leave yourself like a millimeter. You don't want it to be right up against this because then it's not going to fold over. So I'm leaving myself just a tiny little space, lining it up along the bottom right here so we don't have to really cut too much there. Don't worry about this yet. Make sure that it's nice and glued down. Like I said, this is a super simple project, and I thought for the day after Christmas this would be perfect. Now I'm going to round this around just to make sure that it's fitting nice. So I'm just going to give it a nice little scooch around before I put the glue on. And since this has a sticky backing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of that. Most of them don't have a sticky backing, and that's okay, but I'm going to take advantage of this just to make it easier to film. I should have cut it first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the faux pages or the foam off. I should have done this before I let the sticky part come out, but that's okay. But for ease of filming, I am going to use the sticky part, and now I've got to clean my scissors because now I've got a big on there. Okay, so this will hold my eye bolt or my little eye screw. And on these I did them more towards the back. You can do them so they are more in the middle, so they hang straight up and down. I do mine a little closer to the spine so they kind of have a natural tilt to them when they're hanging. Completely up to you, however you want yours to hang. So I'm just going to start with my hook back here and just stick it on there. While I don't think that this is going to hold it, it is nice for filming so that I don't have to try to hold it and glue it at the same time. So I'm going to just put a little extra glue around that and then proceed to add my glue to my cover and not to my inner foam piece, because I don't know how far over I need to go, and I don't know if it's going to line up exactly on the bottom. So we just put glue on here, and again, no making fun of my gluing. There we go. And then I'm going to count just like to 10 in my head so that I can have a little bit of, so this is just a little bit more tacky instead of really fluid. And I don't know if you can see how much glue I put on my little hook, and that should, once it's all dried up, and now I had to fuss with it, and now it moved. Alrighty. So then I'm going to very gently push this over, make sure that my eye bolt is where I want it, and line everything up before I give it a smush. Alrighty, there we go. And so then I'm going to be careful not to stick my fingers all in that sticky bit. And really that is just as simple as it goes. And I wanted to do this one first just because I didn't know how long it was going to take for this Fabri-Tac to dry completely. It's probably going to take a good overnight to make sure this part is set, but I think we'll be able to get it to set enough to be able to hang it on my journal today. So there is this part, and what we're going to do is I'm going to wait for that glue to dry just a tiny little bit before I trim that next part off, just so that we don't fuss with the glue too much. But in the meantime, I'm going to very carefully, and I think I'm going to wait on that as well. Again, this is all a learning process. You can use hot glue. I think I used hot glue on these just because I was going a little bit faster, but I didn't want to get the whole hot glue gun and everything out for today. Today's kind of a slow day for me, and I wanted to get some things cleaned up and put away, and just wanted to do this quick little craft with you guys. So let's just let that one dry for just a minute, and let's move on to this little satin book, which it looks like this doesn't have a foam core because it's hollow inside. This looks like it's just like a piece of paper or hard cardboard, like a strip of it, because this is empty, this is hollow. So I'm really hoping that this eye bolt is going to do the trick, and is going to want to stick in there for me. But we shall see. Alrighty, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I think I've got one in my little stash here. I thought I had just a plain old, I do have a safety pin. All right, let's see which one's going to work better. Do you guys have a little tchotchke dish, I guess you can call, a trinket dish full of things? So I can either use this bigger, it's a fairy pin that I got in some Happy Mail, or we can use this. And I'm going to try this little pin first, and I'm going to just stick it into this piece of cardboard just to give myself a little bit of a starter hole that's not too big, that hopefully, if I put a little dab of glue, and I might end up having to crazy glue or super glue this in at the end, which is not a problem, but I just added just a tiny little bit of the Fabri-Fix 2 right above the hole, hoping that when I introduce my eye pin into my safety pin hole, it will carry enough of the glue into the hole as I screw it in. And you probably could use some little needle nose pliers. I did not bring my set back from my studio. I taught a little class over the last couple of, right before Christmas, and I needed an extra couple of sets. So I left them there. Okay, so it went all the way in, but I'm not super hopeful that the screws bit into anything except for right there at the top. It feels like it went all the way through, because I do feel that it's just a piece of, like a really, really skinny or narrow piece of paper or cardboard that's making it look like a book, and there's nothing behind it. So I might just add a tad of super glue at the end. But it's in, nonetheless, it is in. As I mentioned at the very beginning of this December daily journey, and what I'm doing for the month of December, is that I started reading or rereading a book called Holly Claus, and I don't know if any of you guys have read it. It is the most adorable little book. It is sweet. It's a little bit of adventure, a little bit of conflict, a little coming of age, that type of thing. It's a really nice read. It's a simple read. I think it's a young adult book, so maybe like late middle school level, maybe high school level. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a very good judge of that. But it's a fun little read. I read it to the girls when they were younger, and we enjoyed it. And so I thought, you know, I want to reread it, and I thought this year would be a good time to do that. Anyway, I thought making a little book and hanging that on my December daily would be a cute touch to remind me of it. And I might try to read it every year. I don't know. Things change from year to year. Okay, so I just actually, I just took my book with me to the library, and I photocopied the book itself, opened it up, laid it as flat as I could get it, excuse me, and then shrunk it down to the size that I thought I wanted it. I think maybe I went a little bit smaller than I had hoped, but that's okay. This will work. It's not got to be anything perfect, because it's just yours. And if I want to make a different one, I can always glue I can always make another one and glue it over the top. See, as this one looks like it's a little bit small. So what I'm going to do is, instead of, I'm going to make this hard on myself, instead of just folding it over because I don't think it looks all that great, what I'm going to do is I am going to cut it like this, and I will center this on the front like so. I could probably zoom in a little bit, but I just really don't like this light that shows when I am using this desk. But pretty soon I will be back over at the studio most days, and I will pick up filming over there and not here at my cute little desk. So probably during the, this week between Christmas and New Year's, or maybe right after New Year's, I will do that. So I'm just going to center my little Holly Claus book cover right on the front. Looks like it's written by Brittany Ryan. Ryan or Kymm, K-Y-A-N or R-Y-A-N. I can link it below. Even with my glasses, it's not the greatest. So there is the little front of the book. And now let's see how close I can trim this. And I will trim off the spine. We'll leave that for the end. And now let's go ahead. And I did not ink the edges or anything because, like I said, this is for me. It's a quick little project, a fun little project. And if I really don't like how it turned out, I can always take the book back, re-photocopy it. As I mentioned a few days ago when I did my little 5 pieces of advice, you can always just redo it. So I can always take the book there, make it a little bit bigger, and cover this entire thing with the next size up. It just as easy as it is said, it is done. So like I might even do that just because there's a little bit of glue here, or I might find a cute little something and glue it on there as my book. So I now I've got the front and the back, and we're gonna go ahead and add my little spine. And again, this is just a quick little project of something I like to share. Since you guys come and watch watch my videos, and you spend some of your time, I like to give back a little bit and share something with you that maybe you can use in your own crafting. Which I'm sure there's like 1,000 videos out there on how to make these little books, but everybody does it differently. Everybody has a different spin. Everybody's outcome is a little bit different. And so I'd like to try to share, and there's always something you can learn from every situation or every experience. And so I hope you are picking up a little something from this little craft. Okay. I might take a little bit of inking just because this edge is showing more than I wanted it to. So let's see, how dry are we here? It's still pretty wobbly, but I think once it dries it will be okay. But for our purposes right now, I think we can go ahead and finish this project, get to the December daily, which I want to show you my Boxing Day little layout I did. It's again very simple because today is my simple day. Lots going on, and so I wanted to just take a little bit of time to myself, get some stuff put away, relax a tiny little bit, which is not normal for me to relax, but I'm going to try. Give this just a little ink, which is now blending that front and that back cover from that little line. And I think why I like to leave that little line is because sometimes if your front tape and your back tape are not the same, adding a little line of ink right here will blend the two together and you don't have a definite line down the middle. So I'm going to ink around here just a tiny bit, just so it looks like a vintage book, because these are vintage. If I was doing a new golden book, I probably would not ink them so much, but since these are supposed to be vintage books, I went ahead and inked them. Alrighty, so that one is complete. And let's just give this little holly claws. I'm not going to get too aggressive with this edge because I don't want it to peel off, so I'm just going to grunge it up, and I think I'm going to grunge up the UPC code just a little because that was a little too white for me. Even though it's white on the book, I thought on there. I think that, I don't know if you can really tell, I think it did tone that down just a tiny bit so that it wasn't completely obvious, and we'll see. It might drive me crazy and I might put a bigger cover on there, but we shall see. All right, so now, and instead I'm not going to use the night before Christmas. I'm going to add this to my little stash and put these in. I might either throw these in my stash, or I might add these to some journals or my stash for doing journals for next year. So those can go over here. But this one, the Pokey Little Puppy's First Christmas. I don't know if you guys read the Pokey Little Puppy. It's a Golden Book favorite. I have my copy from when I was a little girl. I have my mom's copy from when she was a little girl, and I also have the copy I bought for my daughters, and none of which do I have the heart to turn into a junk journal. So I'm always on the lookout for another one because it's just such a precious little story. And what am I going to do with all three of those? I have no idea. But I have all three of those, and I'm not cutting those up. But because I thought this would be a perfect little addition to my dangle, I'm going to put this one and this one on my dangle, or my spine charm, or whatever you would like to call it. I haven't added a whole lot. I love making these. I've already got the stuff. I think January's theme for my dangles that I'm making is going to be My Little Pony. I really am enjoying finding all the little components, and so far I've found the most My Little Ponies, and so I think that's what's going to be my January dangle is My Little Pony, unless, you know, who knows, it might change. And since I didn't want to add any more jump rings to it, I thought these needed their very own little hangy part. I found this baker's twine that was white and silver, so I thought it would match nicely. And this is a part where you're going to laugh. I love to be symmetrical and matchy-matchy, and since there's 2 green and 2 red, I didn't want to add another one, so it would make it off. So instead I am going to do this white and silver, and very simply we're going to and as you can see how I made this, it's super long. Like it's really long, much longer than I really need it, but I don't want to get it all tied on and then have it not be the right length. So we'll get this all straightened out here. So what do you guys do with your December dailies or your journals? Do you keep them out? Do you tuck them away? I might put mine up on my journal shelf, kind of off to the side where I really don't see it every day, so it's a surprise again next holiday, because I mean, I would just hate to put it in a box, but we shall see. I'm just trying to figure out here where is going to be the best place to add this, because I don't want it to get too thick up here, and I don't want it to be all tangled, which it seems like it is down here. Okay. And do I want to attach it? Well, I think I'm going to make just a long knot and try to see if I can snug it in between all of them. And I really do think I'm overthinking this way too much. But as that just went like a dream. Okay, so if you can see how I did that, I pulled it all the way around that knot, and I just did one of those, I don't know if that's a slip knot, eagle's nest knot, I never remember what it's called. I probably should look it up. And then I'm just going to add a touch of this glue in here so that it doesn't slip back on itself and undo while we are working on it. And then now I have to just decide, where do I want them to hang? I don't want it to get all caught up in anything, and it looks like, and I don't want them hanging at the same level, so it looks like this is a nice lull of a place. So I think we're going to put the Pokey Little Puppy all right up here in the midst of all the red and green, and then I think Holly Claus is going to come down a little bit further, and very simply I'm going to try to spin that little, that's the only thing about baker's twine when you've got multiple colors, is it tends to unravel and separate. So I did manage to get all of them in there, and I will put this about right where I want it and tie a double knot or a triple knot, just a very simple square knot with one extra loop. So right over left, left over right. Do you guys still use that? There we go. And I hope this just isn't as boring as I'll get out for you. I hope it's all these indecisions and things while I've got you on a promise I will get better at tutorials. It's been a while since I've done tutorial videos since my last channel. And so I've gotten out of the habit of doing them and doing more thinking out loud and talking versus just being an instructor. So, all right, so I did a square knot, and then I did just a little extra knot so that it would hang. And then I'm going to put just a teeny little piece of glue or dot of glue and kind of mush it into the fibers just a tiny little bit. And I don't think I'm going to add anything. I don't really have, well, maybe I'll add this little, since we've already got it on there. I found a little bead in my stash there I could add to this. See, look, you can tell it's for me. I put my little mark on it. Well, okay, maybe that's not going to be our best choice to put this bead on there. Things always seem to go so much easier when you are not trying to film them. Let's see here. It's always the trick is getting everything through the hole and pulled in. There we go. Okay. And I think I'll just use this as my end bead, and it'll weigh it down just a tiny little bit. And since the hole is bigger than the string, I'm going to put like a little triple knot here as well, just to keep that bead from coming off. And this one I'm not too worried about the bead moving around. If it wants to slide up and down, I don't have a problem with that. Okay, we're almost done, and we'll get to the December daily parts. We'll do a real quick look at Boxing Day, and I don't know if any of you guys celebrate Boxing Day, but it is the day after Christmas, and there's many theories of how it started and why it started, but sometimes it's where you would box everything up and give it to your hired help, your upstairs, downstairs, kind of, you know, I don't want to call them servants, but you know, you're the people that worked for you, and you'd give them the day off, and then you would box up gifts for them, and you would let them have the day off. In some cultures, Boxing Day is the day where you box everything up and take all your returns and get those out of the way. There's some religious connotations to some of Boxing Day, but we have always just celebrated as the day after Christmas. Usually it's the day where all the kids get to just play with all their toys, and I would let them get everything out and not worry so much about putting anything away. Okay, I'm going to let this one hang right down here by this mitten. So I'm going to flip it, and again we're going to do, I don't want it all the way at the bottom so that it's resting on the table all the time, but I don't want it too high up to get in the way of the pokey little puppy. Alrighty. I'm looking for a good copy of a Raggedy Ann book because I want to put that on my January birthday journal. Alrighty. Here we go. And let's see, now that I've put a bead on that one, what do I have that I can, I don't want to, here's a big white one. I was looking for maybe something blue. I think that one's too big, and I think this button, I don't think I'll ever get this button through that, but I think I might have an idea. Okay, so very quickly, and now my silver little bit has really come free of my string. But this bead is much bigger, so maybe, just maybe, it will all go through and cooperate for me. There we go. Alrighty. And this one I'm going to put just a little bit closer up because I need room to tie the knot. I did not leave myself much room. And now, of course, it's going to unfray, all because I have all of you here watching me. And it's going to put me through the test, and I did not bring my little tweezers with me to this. They are over across the room. So let's just see what happens here. All right, well, I did do one knot. That's all I'm probably going to get out of that. Let's trim it so it looks a little nicer, and then I had an idea that might hide it a little bit. Okay, because that bead is definitely going to pop right off. So I'm going to take a bulb pin, which I always have a plethora of these around, and I'm going to add my little blue button to it. And then I will just pop this through above the knot. And that should, oh, that seems pretty sturdy. Okay. It's always a way to just fix a problem. So then what I did was I just added the bulb pin right to above the knot, right to that level. And as you can see, my is coming off, and that probably is going to unravel, but now I've got a little button here, and I might just add I'll pull the, I'm going to pull the silver part off and trim it up to the knot above it and not worry about it. So there we go. So now we have added to this dangle, we've added the pokey little puppy and my little holly claws with a little button, and I think that looks adorable. So comment down below if you liked this little project, or if you struggled watching it because I struggled so hard making it for you, or if you have any ideas that you think might be easier, that type of thing. That would be fantastic. So let's move this aside. Let's look at our Boxing Day layout. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to show you this. We'll go over that later. We don't need to look at that now. I don't want to open all of that up. Let's see here. Okay, so here is today, the 26th, and I am going to borrow my angel, and because the glue does not want to stick on this heavy cardstock. So today is the 26th, and what I did was I used the last 6. It's actually the 9. Whoops, you can't even see it. This is the 9 from the back of the cereal box and a 2 from one of the mailers, and I made my 26 because I got all of this layout done and then realized I'd forgotten to put my 26 on, so I had to make it pretty small. And so I just did some boxes, some packages to represent Boxing Day. This little Winter Wishes is actually the top of a box that I used for wrapping gifts, and when I was trying to pull the box apart, I ripped the whole side and tape was not an option, so I thought I would save this for Boxing Day because it was a box. A little present there, some kids singing around the tree, these colors matched in, and this this is a bookmark. This is what I used as my journaling spot. This is one of the ones I got from the library, and what it reminded me of is that day after Christmas when we all could just, you know, play with all of our toys, and the kids could just come down and play with all of their toys. And that's what this reminded me of. So I use that as my journaling spot. But inside as well is, like I said, we always seem to do our crackers on Boxing Day and not on Christmas Day because we run out of time. And so I added my cracker to my Boxing Day layout. And this set that we bought, they all come with little trinkets in them. And I think I've got a picture from the other set of crackers that we did that has a picture of all the different items that come in them. You sometimes can get little nail files and rings and compasses and paper clips and all kinds of weird little doodads, golf tees and things like that. This one just seemed to happen to have a joke and your paper crown. They always come with a tissue paper crown. Everybody puts them on, and you have a celebration with that. So I stapled mine to my crown and then glued it into my pocket to keep it as part. And I was so excited because I got the orange one, and orange is my favorite color. I always trade for the orange one. And the joke on it is, what happened to the wet skeleton who sat by the fire? It became bone dry. And then there's a did you know, a funnel. There's always, it's like a bazooka gum thing. This is a, it says, did you know? And it says, a noun, ultra crepidarian is someone who voices thoughts beyond their expertise. I think we all know at least one of those. And this was the outside wrapper of the actual cracker. You know, each person grabs this and pulls it, and whoever ends up with the full part of the cracker versus the end up of the tip gets their wish for the upcoming new year. And so I cut this and made a little tag or a little tab right here because this paper is a little on the brittle side, but it seems like the glue is not sticking very well. So I'm going to leave my little angel and maybe she will help hold this together until I can get her put back on her other page. So there is our Boxing Day for today. Not anything super exciting, but like I said, today is a relaxing day. Let's go back to our grid. I started my new line today, my final part of the grid, which I've been really enjoying this part the most, I think, of this entire journal. I'm enjoying the whole thing, but I'm really enjoying this grid quite a bit. And today I used the back of a box. So this is the inside of the box, which is just a brown crafty paper. And then this was a little part of a different box that has what looks like a wooden box. So I thought that would symbolize Boxing Day for me. Well, the best I could do. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming with me and helping me hold myself accountable on getting this done for 26 days now, even through the busiest time of the year. And I will see you all tomorrow, and we'll see what we can come up with. Oh, you know what? I knew I was almost ready to forget something. We have to go ahead and cross off our Boxing Day, and I am going to use my fancy pencil, and we're going to do just gray for this one. I thought using a regular pencil on this one would be fun, just because it's kind of a different color gray. There we go. And any chance to use these fancy pens and pencils that I got from a good friend of mine at one of the craft fairs we did. I just can't get enough of these. I think they're so fun. And as a woman in her 50s, I think it's fun to be able to use some things like we did when we were little kids in this hobby. We don't always have to be grown up. So anyway, guys, thank you so much. This turned into a much longer video than I had planned, but I will see you tomorrow. And you have a happy Boxing Day, and I will see you tomorrow.